I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
My name is Oscar Bueno, and I'm co-owner of Our Spot.
And my name is Belinda Prattis, and besides being partners in life, we're partners in business here at Our Spot. We want the world to know that Our Spot was born out of a why. Yeah,
True.
it was born out of a burning desire to bring something different to our city for everyday people, but specifically our Black and brown men. Yeah. It was 2015 when we came up with the idea 3 years ago that I set up a massage chair at that barbershop in an empty space and was giving out free 5-minute chair massages for all fathers. And this shop was about, 5 blocks from a projects, right? So, a group of people who maybe didn't have access to chair massage events, in the workplace and here and there. So it took about 2 hours, I'd say, to get the first father in my chair with his help.
Yeah, because I would constantly just speak to my clients while they were in the chair, saying, "Hey, you should try this out. You should try this out. It's free. You should try it out."
Right. And once they got in the chairs, they didn't stop coming in the chairs for about 4 hours. And we went home and talked about it that night, and we realized, you know what, there's really no space in this city where Black and brown men specifically can receive touch that's neither sexual nor violent. And that was the year where every other week we were hearing about one of our men getting killed or beaten, at the hands of police. And that is the kind of touch that invalidates somebody's existence. And it really tells them, you don't matter. And so we thought about it, and between the two of us, we touch people for a living. If you think about it, the average Black man, how often does he get touched and by whom? Right? His barber can touch him on his face, on his shoulders, and nobody questions that, right? So we actually wanted to be able to bring that kind of healing and validating touch, and then overall wellness in general, because as you always say,
yeah, no, it's an underserved community. One, we lack access to different services, especially in the wellness sector. But also outside of that, just we grow up thinking that a lot of these different things and taking care of ourselves is something that's feminine, which is not.
Right.
And so when we sit down and we think about it, we say, hey, where's the safe space? The barbershop has always been a safe space.
Right.
It's a staple in our communities. Let's bring the services where the men are, where they're comfortable, where they're safe, a judgment-free zone, where also, they can receive information and education on these different modalities, so that we can start building ourselves from the inside out, because we understand that we are broken people. And once we get ourselves to a point where we understand who we are, understand the power that we possess, then hopefully that will trickle down into how we relate and interact with our families, with our children, with the brothers on the streets, and hopefully empower others.
Yeah.
So our slogan is crown yourself.
Yes.
Claim your throne.
Right. And you do it by being well. And that's, health is one thing, but wellness is entirely another.
Interesting. Well, I've been shaping myself up since I was like 11, 12 years old. I didn't know that it was a passion that I had, but I would cut hair informally for years thereafter. So I technically have been cutting hair for, let's say, over 20 years. Now, professionally, I've been cutting hair for about 2 years now, right? About 2 years? Yeah. When I decided, after sitting down and deliberating, that I was going to leave my corporate job, because it just wasn't serving the purpose for me. It wasn't fulfilling my purpose anymore. And so when I decided to go that route, I then came to understand that this is my passion. Working with the people is my passion. Being able to to help others and be a resource or an advocate for our people, to me, just made all the sense and made all the difference. It's filling to me. And I feel like I'm serving a higher purpose in being able to interact with the brothers on a personal level.
And bring a different perspective.
That emotional stuff coming
Yeah.
out.
He gets so emotional.
Yeah, just being able to really just be with the brothers.
I'm really inspired by this guy right here. I really am. So I'm about to put your business out there. We used to work together about 7.5 years ago. And gosh, he used to get on my nerves so much. And but the more I learned about him, especially when I saw him as a father, that really made me look at him differently. And then when I learned that, he had spent some time in prison and then actually beat the odds. He got out of prison and realized that everyone around him would pretty much be a ticket right back, including family, because they were all involved in the same gang life that, got him put in prison in the first place. And so at that young age, he decided, I need to break away from this and go someplace else. He physically moved away, came here to Baltimore and started over, and he talks to his son about that and says, look at me as an example. I'm an exception to the rule. Don't even get started going down this path, and so he brings that to the table. And then when I learned that he worked with the Baltimore City Health Department in creating a whole program for to fight teen pregnancy amongst the Latino community, I looked at that just quietly sitting back and I'm like, wow, that's a guy who gets it. He really gets it, and I think that with his tenacity, yes, he's a tenacious guy. With his tenacity, I just knew that this was going to work, both on a personal level and then later on a professional level, because we've always worked together, so for us this was, but yeah, this guy, he inspires me a lot. He does.
You do as well. Thank you.
I would say it would be the emotional numbness. If I could change one thing in Baltimore, that's what it would be. We've become, and we've become so numb to violence. We've become numb to disrespecting one another. We've become numb to not caring for ourselves as a whole. We are very busy. We're a small city, but everybody is just moving all the time, and we become numb to the idea that there's not fresh food options everywhere and only in certain areas, and we become numb to that, and we just accept that as given, and that's all because of this emotional numbness. And I think that would be the one thing I would change, and that's kind of what we're trying to do here. Like, just from the moment you walk through the first set of doors, there's a sign there that says, be responsible for the energy that you bring into this space. And so people from the jump already know this is going to be a different experience, like even with barbershops, we become numb to the idea that there's a lot of noise and a lot of chaos. It doesn't always have to be that way. This is meant to be, our spot is meant to be a respite from a lot of that. Go, 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 go.
I concur.
What would we do if we could to make Baltimore a more vibrant and innovative city? I think creating spaces where vibrancy and innovation are welcome and showcased. That's a start. Like there's the Mr. Troy Staten with the New Beginnings Barbershop. He's got his art gallery there, and that's a space where people can come and think about how innovative that is. It's the same, the idea kind of that we are trying to model after. Like, here we've got the barbershop. It's a safe space. And then we allow artists to come in. We allow makers and micro businesses to come in, display their wares, and just think like outside of the box. If people see, hey, they're doing it, maybe I could do something in the same way. Think like, okay, take something traditional and tweak it just a little bit.
All right.
So
because
having more spaces
the
where
city
that's
definitely
valued.
doesn't lack innovation.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of art. And we interact with these folks on a day-to-day basis,
Right.
but they lack the resources with which to showcase or express
Absolutely.
such. So that's why we have this space here. To hopefully get some of that work out there, give artists an opportunity.
Did you know that the
to show
Baltimore
their work.
Youth Arts, creates this beautiful work? Like candles in my massage room, they made those. Soap that's in my bathroom at home, they made those. And we don't know that these kids from Sandtown, Winchester are doing this right here in our city. But now, because we've got their little placard up there and we've got their artwork here, now people are aware if they weren't aware before. That's what we need.
So having opportunities to get the work out there, the resources, that's all.
Take the
all that the
innovation
city needs in
and
that.
bring it to the people,
Right.
to the everyday people.
Okay. So why is being a Warnock Social Innovation Fellow important?
It's so important. Being a Warnock Social Innovation Fellow is really important to us because, one, the resources that they're providing us with, because they're not just giving these grants out just because. They want these ideas to be sustained, because if they're not sustained, then Baltimore doesn't get better. It's just an idea and a flash in the pan. So those resources that we're going to gather over the course of the next 2.5 months, that's invaluable, because sometimes, as a business owner, you feel like you've got all these noodles and you're just throwing them against the wall and seeing what sticks. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. But for the long term, we need strategies. We need strategies from people who are deeply rooted in Baltimore and deeply care about Baltimore. So that's one. And two, the exposure. That's fantastic. Like, we get to see other people, like they put us on to Mr. Troy. So we're going to reach out to him and see, like, hey, you've done this. We want to do this. What tips can you give us? And so in this way, like, we met so many other fabulously talented people in our cohort, and so now we have the opportunity to showcase them. They have the opportunity to showcase us, to partner up. We have this space to meet. This is the way everyday people in Be More survive and thrive. Not just survive, but thrive. This is how we love each other. This is how we are resilient. That's what it means to me.
Crown yourself.
Crown each other.
Because if I see the king in me, that means I recognize the queen in you.
Ain't that the truth? You better
And
recognize
vice
the
versa.
queen in me.
And that's what we're trying to convey to our people.
Yeah.
To not just our clients, but to the community at large, to the city at large. Recognizing the king or the royalty within self, to then be able to share that with others and acknowledge it in others as well.
Yes. I recognize the king in you.
Likewise. I was trying to think what in Spanish or English, and
This Warnock Social Innovation Fellowship, for us, like, we're just so incredibly appreciative, especially considering we found out about it 2 days before the deadline.
Yes.
And, we just figured, let's try, why not? And here we are, and we were in that room with all of these other brilliant people looking at each other like, wow. It just, you can't help but be appreciative. So thank you so much to the Warnock Foundation for this opportunity. Trust and believe we are definitely going to make the most of this.
And we're looking forward to all the good resources and information to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.